And so we end out February by talking about a bunch of different romantic comedy themed anime, very similar to another one I did a video on, Nagatoro. And it's not that these anime are exactly the same, but they have a lot of similarities, and they all came out around the same time. If you haven't seen my review of Nagatoro and you don't know what it is, simply it's a rom-com anime about a nerdy guy who's really into art and drawing his own manga, and he ends up getting noticed by this girl who's in a grade below him, and she just lays into him and just keeps teasing him and picking on him. Not only does she do this because she wants to, warm up to him, she also does it because she wants to see him blossom outside of his comfort zone and start making more friends and start being, a little more respected and finally learn to stand up for himself. But before I even think about doing videos about all these anime on their own, I thought it'd be kind of fun to go through each of the first episodes of these shows and talk about how they're similar and different, and talk about what I think about them as first episodes of these shows and if they do a good job establishing what the shows are supposed to be about. So first up, we're going to be talking about easily the most wholesome of these shows. The first one we're talking about is Teasing Master Takagi-san. It's interesting that the characters in this show are the youngest because this is a show that takes place in middle school. Nagatoro, Komi Can't Communicate, and My Dress Up Darling, those are shows that take place in high school, and Uzaki-chan takes place in college. But this one is actually the oldest of these shows. It goes back to 2018, whereas the other ones came out in the 2020s. But yeah, it's interesting that this one is actually the oldest while the cast are the youngest. And it's gone on for quite a while, as far as I can tell. It's obviously based on a manga. The anime has been on for at least 3 seasons, and apparently there's also a theatrical movie. Now, the similarities to Nagatoro are the show's pacing and, well, the fact that it's a boy and a girl who are constantly trying to tease each other, and the guy is usually left flustered. The biggest difference is, and thank God for this, none of the perverted humor from Nagatoro is here. So the show takes place in middle school, and the boy's name is Nishikata, and the girl's name is Takagi. They're in the same class together, they sit next to each other, and they're always trying to prank one another. The kid is always flustering himself, trying to make this girl crack, or so he has the last laugh, but she always is 5 steps ahead of him.
This'll work well as a spring. Now I have all the pieces I need to make my desktop jack-in-the-box.
My pencil case just won't open. Maybe it got dented when I dropped it earlier. Do you think you could try opening it, Nishikata?
You must have loosened it or something.
The show has that kind of Roadrunner style of humor where one person's like, oh, I'm gonna get this person, there's no way this plan's gonna fail, and then it ends up blowing up in their face. So a lot of that is present in this first episode. One of the similarities to Nagatoro here is the way that it's paced, because just like Nagatoro, which usually was broken up into 2 11-minute vignettes, this is broken up into a series of mini vignettes. Like the first episode is broken up into 3 different segments. All 3 of them take place at the school, 2 of them during class, and 1 of them is actually before class. The first of the 3 vignettes has it that he's trying to prank her with an eraser, because she says, "Can I borrow your eraser?" And then she mentions something about how people usually write things on their erasers, something that's usually personal to them. So then she gets up to go to the bathroom, and then he tries to look at the eraser that's on her desk, and he's like, "Oh, she was lying! She has her eraser! She didn't need to borrow mine!"
That's it. I'll write someone's name on Takagi's eraser and make fun of her for it when she comes back from the bathroom.
And then he looks at her eraser, and at first he thinks that maybe she wrote his name on her eraser because, oh, well, if people write things that they care about on their erasers, that would mean that she cares about him. But then he looks at it, and it says, "Look out in the hall," and then she's there waiting for him to look. Second segment takes place before school even starts, and he has to show up to class early so that he can clean off the chalkboard. But then he notices that Takagi's shoes are hidden under the teacher's desk, so then he thinks that she's going to try and pop out and surprise him.
You're making this too easy, Takagi. I can see the name on your shoes under the desk. You're probably planning to surprise me when I go up to clean the blackboard, but I won't give you the chance.
And while he is right, he then starts to over-engineer everything and starts getting all paranoid, like, maybe she's in this closet, maybe she isn't behind the desk, I don't know where she could be. And then the segment ends with, just as he sits down to finally catch his breath, she then pops out from behind the curtains.
Hey! Are you okay?
Come on! I didn't look behind the curtain!
And the third segment is he tries contorting his face as a way to make her laugh during class so that she'll get in trouble, but she ends up helping him make an even funnier face, and the teacher notices him doing this and then mouths off to him because, my God, the teacher, going by this first episode, the teacher in this show is 10 times worse than the art club president from Nagatoro.
What are you doing, Nishikata?
If you ask me, that guy should be teaching like gym class, not English class or social studies. A teacher with that kind of temper would be perfect for something like dodgeball lessons. This episode also does a good job establishing some other characters, like there's these 3 other girls that are in their class, and one's really excited and energetic, and then one's kind of not really nerdy, but like she's kind of a know-it-all. She has glasses, and then you have one who's just more like, you know, low energy. I couldn't get sleep last night.
How about this weather, am I right? Jeez, I'll never understand how you feel so energetic in the morning, Nina. Huh? And how else am I supposed to feel, smarty pants? Tired?
The one thing that stuck out to me, and maybe I was just hearing things, but I swear that really energetic girl, she sounded like one of the many voices for the English dub of Popco from Pop Team Epic. And then in the third segment, when he's in the bathroom trying to make funny faces in the mirror, there's this one boy who's very friendly with Nishikata, and they do it like kids would.
So I was wondering, like, you into her? Well, he's clearly ignoring me, which means I must be on the right track. Yo, dude, you totally like Takagi, don't you?
I feel like I need to watch a few more episodes of this show to really get into it, and there's going to be a lot to go through. I mean, 3 seasons and a theatrical movie. But I do like this show, going by this first episode. It feels like they focus a lot more on the comedy in the first few episodes, going by this first one. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out more of the show. I did like it, but I feel like I need to watch a few more episodes before I really get into it. Next up, we move on to a show that has at least 2 seasons right now. We also have a live-action miniseries, too. The series in question is Komi Can't Communicate. Now, this one is more like the polar opposite of Nagatoro, because instead of having the girl be super brash and brazen and abrasive, this girl has social anxiety to where she cannot communicate with anyone outside of writing things on a chalkboard. As for the plots, we have a kind of socially awkward guy. He's not really a nerd like Senpai was in Nagatoro. He's more of just a geek. I mean, like, he mentions like playing video games and stuff. And this guy has the most anime teenager opening monologue ever. It's the, "Hi, my name's so-and-so, and I'm kind of a socially awkward dork, but, you know, I'm just gonna try and get through my first year of high school and, you know, try and keep a low profile. Hopefully things go well."
I never expected an average Joe like me to be accepted into a great preparatory high school like this one. But I can't be greedy. In any case, my goal for the time being is to read the room and lead a peaceful high school life.
That is probably the most stereotypical anime thing in this entire first episode. And there's also a couple parts where they show off a bunch of different landscapes while the characters are talking to each other or communicating with one another. So that was probably the only other thing that's like, oh, that's very anime.
What should I do? How should I start the conversation? What do I do after that? What if I get rejected? What topic should I bring up next? What if they think I'm boring? What if my smile looks weird? What am I supposed to do?
But as for the plots, this guy, Tadano, is starting high school, and he has several interactions with this girl, Komi, who seems to be the prettiest, most popular girl in school. And everyone loves her, everyone fawns over her, everyone thinks that she's a trendsetter, she's a go-getter. Oh, she does whatever she wants, she plays by her own rules, she's such a queen.
She smells like heaven.
This girl, Komi, seems like she's already the most popular girl in school. And on the very first day of class.
But he notices that she doesn't really like communicating with people, because he tries to talk to her several times, and she just freezes and then bolts.
Huh? What's the matter? Did I do something wrong? Huh?
And, just like in Takagi, they have the same classes, and they sit next to each other, which is not really a good thing, because then he thinks that a bunch of people are giving him the stink eye and looking over and going, that should be me, I should be sitting next to Komi.
But is it just me, or does it seem like I'm gonna get murdered?
When he mysteriously disappears somehow, then I'll be the one who gets to sit next to her.
Everyone ends up going to the gym for the next period, and it's the two of them alone in the classroom. And he notices that she can't really talk, aside from a few things.
Why can't I?
Someone's voice?
I can't speak in front of everyone anymore.
So he hears her talking to herself for just a little bit, and then she tries to leave, but then he tries to spark a conversation and figure out what her deal is. And she writes about how for the last 3 or 4 years of school, she's had horrible social anxiety and she can't talk to anyone. She wants to, but she just can't.
It was so hard, eating lunch all by myself. Seeing everyone else talking and laughing. Every day for 3 years I tried to start conversations, but my voice just never came out. No matter what I did, I was never able to talk to anyone.
Here's what I really liked about this first episode, and this is something that I think all these shows do a pretty good job of, but this one especially. Do a good job establishing that these two characters are technically on opposite ends of the social field in this high school. He's kind of a loner, and she's Little Miss Popular, but she doesn't really like it. She wants to make friends with people. She doesn't want to be worshipped and idolized. She just wants to be treated like a normal person, but she can't really communicate with people. That is, unless she's writing it down or writing it on the chalkboard, which is how they initially start to communicate with each other. And eventually, he just stops talking with her and he starts writing on the chalkboard because he wants to be a little bit more like her and help her feel a little more comfortable.
That was how our first conversation started. I told her I was worried watching her cry, even if it was just hiccups. She told me she thought she was gonna faint when she had to introduce herself, and thanked me for picking up her eraser.
Unlike Nagatoro, where they were playing up the whole, oh, perverted humor, and oh, you know, those two, will they get together in the end? This wimpy, nerdy little pervert and this over-the-top little yandere. This is a lot more like, he wants to help her, and who knows, maybe eventually they'll get together, but he says that his goal for the school year is he wants to help Komi make 100 friends.
My goal is to help Komi, who can't communicate, to make 99 more friends.
I thought it was a really sweet way to start this series because it really did set the tone. This one definitely relies more on just being wholesome and nice, and yeah, they do have some comedic elements, but the first episode takes the plot very seriously, and I really liked what they did with it. It's funny because while the two main guys in these shows, like Senpai and Tadano, while they do seem kind of similar, Komi and Nagatoro are polar opposites. Anyway, on to our next series. The series in question is My Dress-Up Darling. This one definitely feels a lot more like Nagatoro because, well, this one actually one-ups Nagatoro in this department. The first episode of this show has a panty shot.
The ultimate form of love!
And as for the characters, they definitely feel a little bit more like Senpai and Nagatoro did. The main guy in this one is Gojo, who is a guy who's a loner, he keeps to himself, and like how Senpai had his manga that he was working on, Gojo is really good at sewing because he learned how to sew dresses for dolls that are sold in his grandpa's shop.
These are called Hina dolls. Pretty, aren't they? I made them with some of my old pals. Do you like them?
A lot. I love them.
His grandpa notices that he's very antisocial and hasn't made any friends in forever because they established that he's had a horrible friendship when he was a kid because there was this girl that he was friends with and she just yells at him and calls him a freak.
You're a freak! What's wrong with you, Wakana? Dolls are for girls. Boys aren't supposed to play with them. You're not my friend. I hate you!
So now we jump forward. The kid is now a high schooler and he notices that there's Little Miss Popular Pretty Girl Marine, not to be confused with the Marine from Hololive.
And honey!
Just like Komi, she's the girl that everyone in school seems to like, and she has her own little clique that follows her around, very similar to Nagatoro, except that as far as I can tell going by this first episode, they're not really as forward as Gamo and Yoshi and Sakura. And in fact, it feels like Marine would probably be a little bit more in the lane for Senpai because she's a total nerd. She's a geek who's into gaming and anime and manga, and as Gojo ends up figuring out, her passion is cosplaying because she describes it as feeling like you're showing true love and appreciation for characters in pop culture that you like. So it feels like that this anime and the manga that inspired it are sort of a love letter to cosplayers.
Basically, I want to create replicas of the character outfits in manga, games, and anime. That's cosplay. It allows you to express your love for your favorite characters. Isn't that awesome?
She establishes that she had a terrible run-in at some coffee shop while she was with her friends, and there was some guy who, fits the stereotypical good-looking dude high schooler stereotype, but he acts like a total dick to her because he insults the manga and anime that she likes.
Hey, isn't that thing on your bag from some anime? Wow, you're a nerd. A hot nerd, though.
At least I'm not a stalker.
And then that's when Gojo has his flashback to that girl that, just didn't want to be his friend anymore. After those two interact for a little bit, after she goes flying onto his desk and bumping her head really badly, but she gets up just a couple seconds later.
That looked rough.
Yeah, are you okay? Yeah, great. Never better. Sorry about your desk.
His sewing machine at home ends up breaking because it was a super old one. It was an antique, as the grandpa puts it. So he ends up going to the home ec class at school and figuring out that they have a new model sewing machine, and it's a really good one, so now he can be able to sew dresses for these dolls as much as he wants to. But then, that's when Marine shows up, and she reveals her passion for cosplaying, and she asks for his help.
I beg you, please help me make the perfect cosplay!
I might not be perfect, since I've just made clothes for dolls. But I'll try. I promise I will.
Yes! Yes, yes, yes! You said yes! I'm so excited! Thank you! I'm gonna be Shizuku-san! I can't wait!
After the two find some common ground, she compliments his dolls, and he says that he can help her with her dresses for her cosplaying. It seems like these two are going to have a very long and healthy relationship.
You know how to sew? That's so awesome! Wow. She's so beautiful.
Even if he doesn't really understand anime and manga like she does.
Shizuku Kuroe-tan, from Saint Slippery's Academy for Girls, Young Ladies of the Humiliation Club!
I'm sorry. What?
Overall, I really liked the comedy in this one. This definitely felt a lot more on pace with Nagatoro in terms of its humor. The girl is just as sassy, but she's nowhere as mean as Nagatoro is in the first episode. And like I mentioned in my original Nagatoro review, the first episode definitely could be a rocky one because I watched it with multiple people and almost all of the people I watched it with responded with the same, wow, this girl is a bitch. Marine, on the other hand, is sassy like Nagatoro, but she's not really as catty or bitchy as Nagatoro comes off in the first episode. So I definitely like that. And I really like how these two have their own passions. And much like Komi, they feel like they're on the opposite ends of the social fields in high school. You know, he's just kind of a loner who keeps to himself, and he doesn't really have friends. Like, at the end of one of the school days, he has two other guys that are supposed to be helping him stack up chairs, and then they just leave. And then she even walks in and says, those people aren't friends, they're just users. They're just using you, and when they're done with you, they'll just chew you up and spit you out.
Where's everyone else?
Oh, they went home. I think they had to work.
What?
But the two of them thanked me for helping them out. And for being a good friend.
Dude, that's not a friend. Those jerks are using you. You shouldn't say yes to things you don't want to do. I'm serious. You need to take better care of yourself.
Even though she's the most popular girl in school, all of her interests just go over everyone's heads, and no one really seems to know or even appreciate what she's into. Even her own friends, and granted, they are more friends than anyone that Gojo has, but, you know, her friends are just kind of like, oh, you're gonna go all Dorkosaurus on us again? Okay.
You seriously point to Shiontan and call her that thing?
Here we go. Leave Shiotan alone.
Look, we don't understand when you get all Dorkosaurus.
So it definitely feels like, while they may not understand each other's passions, they definitely respect the passion that the other has, and they know that they could definitely benefit being around the other person. Just like a lot of other rom-com anime, you just want to see the chemistry fly between these two, and maybe they'll get together in the end. Now we come to the one that's definitely the most like Nagatoro. We come to Uzaki-chan Wants to Hang Out. I believe this show either wrapped up its second season and is going into a third season, or they started a third season recently. Again, I can't really tell. I need to catch up with some of these shows. Much like how we started with the youngest one that took place in middle school, this is the oldest one. This one doesn't take place in high school, it takes place in college. This one's about two former friends that used to know each other when they were really little. The guy's name is Sakurai, and the girl is the titular Uzaki. And well, this girl, her and Nagatoro might be the same in terms of their attitudes. They definitely get a kick out of messing with the guy main character, but this girl is a lot more of a, what we call, a short stack. She's short on size, but big on chest. Because let it be known, this show does not let up in terms of letting the audience know that this girl has gigantic tits. Every chance they get to show them off, they show the jiggle physics, they show them bouncing, they don't stop.
Apparently, if you stand on this thing for 10 minutes, it's like getting a whole workout. Pretty awesome, right? Hop on, give it a try.
And in fact, as far as lewd content goes for the first episodes, it's probably not up to the same level as My Dress Up Darling, which, again, panty shot in the first episode. This one does have the leg up on Nagatoro because,
What's this?
shit, Nagatoro didn't even have that until episode 4 or 5 in its first season. As for the plot, Sakurai and Uzaki used to be childhood friends, but they eventually stopped seeing each other. But now they're going to the same college together, and after 1 year, she notices that Sakurai has grown up to become a slacker and a loner.
Is he sleeping? What the what?
Just spends all of his free time on his phone or playing games on like a portable gaming device.
No, seriously, what? What in the actual what?
He seems like he's not really the life of the party, and she wants to get back into connection with him because, who knows, she just might like him. But the way she goes about it is very similar to Nagatoro. She cannot stop fucking with this guy and annoying him.
You're actually not a loner because I'm here with you now.
Quit tagging along, you damn pest.
Are you nervous?
What? No.
But unlike Senpai, who is a total nerd, who needed his life kicked in the right direction so that he can finally learn to stand up for himself and stop taking so much shit from people, this guy, on the other hand, he's not a wimp like Senpai was. This guy totally gives it back to her and yells at her, calls her annoying, and he even, in some cases, kind of comes off like a dick. He kind of comes off like a jerk-ass.
What was with that glare?
He's scary.
Like the title suggests, the first episode has her want to hang out with him, so they go to a movie, they then go to a store and look for different electronics that they can buy, and then they visit a batting cage. And of course, they make a scene at virtually all of these places. When they're at the movie, she berates him for wanting to see a movie all by himself, and they have this constant back and forth, and he gets so fed up with her, he squeezes her nose until eventually she begs for him to let go.
I know I'd laugh myself silly if I saw you picking out dirty DVDs or whatever. Owie, that hurts! Stop that! Sakurai! Uncle!
And what's really funny is how the scene ends, because they're constantly going back and forth about what movie they should see. And they just show like a couple of other people in the lobby area of this movie theater, and somebody just goes, God, will that couple ever shut up? So it's like even the universe knows that those two are destined to be together at some point.
Sheesh. Will that couple ever shut up?
Then when they go to the tech store, here's where that Nagatoro-style lewd comedy comes in, because, well, first they get into one of those vibrating recliner chairs, and Uzaki is enjoying it just a little too much.
I gotta make noise when it's good. My shoulders have always been super tight. The relief is almost too much to bear.
I mean, I get it, but when you know, sound like that.
I would buy this in a second if I had the money.
Now, a little bit later, they come across a little kiosk that's trying to promote a VR headset thing, and they both try it out. Uzaki is put into some kind of zombie shooter game, and she starts flailing around, and she pretty much, like, decks the guy.
Your reactions are kind of the best. They should really consider putting you in a commercial.
Then when Sakurai puts on the headset, they put him into some kind of simulation of, like, ocean life, and then he starts to freak out because he sees a CG shark coming towards him, and he thinks it's real. And when he starts flailing...
Miss, you should be careful not to get too close to the player.
Huh? What's this? Jellyfish? Sunfish?
So, unlike Nagatoro, who seemed quite mortified by having her chest grabbed...
Wow, I've never thought much of VR, but this was pretty cool.
She is shocked by it, but she doesn't seem as annoyed as Nagatoro did. I mean, she didn't start slapping the guy relentlessly like Nagatoro did to Senpai when it happened. And then we get to the batting cage, and, you know, he's not really an athlete type of guy, but, you know, he knows how to swing a bat. He knows how to do it. But then when she does it, she doesn't stretch. And this is like a real thing when it comes to batting cages and batting practice. You gotta stretch out your muscles, because she immediately swings and pretty much throws her back out.
Hold on a sec, did you stretch first?
The episode ends with, oh, maybe they do like spending time together, and maybe he would like to hang out with her more.
Well, I won't be bored. I can put up with her for a while, I guess.
Just like earlier in the episode, in front of a ton of people on college campus, she says something that of course can be taken out of context.
You know that thing we did yesterday? Oh, my back still hurts. It's all your fault, you know.
Freezing!
Yeah, let's be honest. She knew. She knew exactly what she was doing. She's not stupid. She knew what she was saying. Overall, I really enjoyed the first episodes of these shows. I think Takagi did a good job establishing the kind of wholesome humor that it was going for, and I liked the whole, you know, 3 vignettes in one episode kind of format that episode did. And I like the dynamic in that show, because while she is a teaser, she's not like Nagatoro, where she comes off psychotic. If anything, Nishikata comes off more like the psychopath in those two. He feels like he could easily be like Nagatoro's little brother, or fucking Sakurai from Uzaki-chan's little brother, because he's that much of a hothead, and he gets easily flustered a lot. So, yeah, I did like those elements of Takagi. As for Komi, I really liked how seriously they took the concept of a girl with horrible social anxiety, and the guy just wants to do the right thing. He wants to help her make friends. And while this could be a little bit cliche, I did like the moment where it's like, she's like, I want to have 100 friends. And he goes, well, you already have one. Moments like that I thought were really sweet. And I thought that did a good job establishing the kind of tone that Komi was going to be setting up for. As for my dress-up darling, I really liked the chemistry between the two characters. I liked that the guy has his own hobby, and it scars him that no one really seems to get his hobby. But then he comes across this girl who, despite being the most popular girl in school, has her own hobby that people don't really seem to understand. So that way they both find some common ground and similarity with each other. As for Uzaki-chan, I just love the comedy in this one. I mean, I swear, this girl and Nagatoro would be the best of friends, assuming that they wouldn't just try to claw each other's eyes out. And I like the fact that, compared to some of the other guy characters we've had in these shows, like Tadano or even Gojo, and especially Senpai, Sakurai, on the other hand, he's a loner by choice, and he wants to be left alone, but then this girl just comes waltzing up and is like, hey, we used to be friends, remember? Why don't we spend more time together now that we're at the same college? And she just drives him insane. Anyways, guys, that does it for Blockbusters in February. Look forward to March, where I'm going to be doing 3 reviews, and they're all comedies, so joy. We get to talk about more bad comedies on the Blockbuster Show. But until then, I'm Am Sykes of the Blockbuster Show, and we will see you guys in the next video.